Yes, you are audible. Can you hear us?
Yeah, yeah. So I'll be speaking about challenging situations made easy by 3D printing. Uh, as we know, everyone has spoken about what is the evolution of 3D printing has. We have now gone over to bioprinting, which is still in the vitro phase, and probably in next 3-4 years, it might be one of the futures of 3D printing. What is 3D printing for orthopedics? It's basically fit to print. The future solutions for orthopedic surgery will come out from a 3D printer. This is an editorial by Daniel Seeger. So there is a divide who is it is meant for, whether it is meant for a medical person or for an engineer. If you divide the steps of 3D printing as people have illustrated, an orthopedic surgeon would be doing the major part of the thing. The engineer would be helping him. It's actually more of a teamwork than as of only one person being involved in the planning to the performance of the surgery. It's a teamwork, as I say again. It's not that only one solution will work. Other people would give you ideas, and uh, as Ketan usually helps us when we are doing a 3D planning, it helps us in planning the jigs. So I'll be talking about two more most important challenges which are there for an orthopedic surgeon. One is tumor surgery and the spine. This is a chondrosarcoma of the iliac blade, which requires a type 1 pelvic resection. So what we did, we acquired the 3D images, 1 mm cuts were acquired, image threshold was done, the region was calculated and grown, and we have a working 3D model or a virtual model which is available for you for manipulation. This is a CT model reconstructed. We took the images from the MRI and we delineated the tumor in it because the MRI gives you more tumor margin, which is meant for resection. So we again grew this part and superimposed the MRI part on the CT scan. So this would give you the real picture of the tumor. By fusion of the images, now we have the real picture of the images which are available, and we can rotate and we can see where we need to make the resection. And this is how we planned and through the iliac we planned an osteotomy jig and we did a resection. So this is the resection what we did. The 3D was registered over the 2D, and this is how we achieved the result. So which one would you have preferred? The X-ray one with this or with a major reconstruction, what would you have preferred? Which would have taken more dissection, which would have caused more bleeding, which would have taken more time. This is a case of a proximal osteoid osteoma. You can clearly see the nidus which is present. So we again did the acquired the images. 1 mm cuts were acquired. The thresholding was done. Region was grown. It was further masked, and we achieved the nidus. The nidus was further by using edit mask. It was again grown, and a small part was grown, and this was a, a virtual file which is available with its coordinate. This is superimposed on the CT scan image, on the CT scan virtual model. So you have a CT scan model with the grown part. Now this grown part, we basically drew a curve, and on this we drew a plate. So this plate was put intra-op, and we used this the radio frequency needle. Passing through this needle, we measured the length on what depth which was going. So it gave us precision to achieve radio frequency ablation without having an image available. This is the post-op image which shows the track and the again this. So in 3D printing in tumor basically allows visualization of the tumor in all parts. The emergent fusion allows decreasing the surgical resection to 2 centimeter as compared to 5 centimeter, which is the general dictum, because we can visualize and you can cut the tumor in different planes. It decreases the complexity of reconstruction because you're cutting less. So it decreases the operative time and decreases the blood loss. It is a good, impressive teaching tool for the patient and for your students. So you measure twice and cut once. This is a case which is very close to my heart. This is a case of a cervical spondylotic myelopathy. It presented to us, which was done outside our hospital. The patient came, he had a laryngeal nerve palsy, so we decided to go posterior. So again, we did acquire the images, we made a virtual model, we made cylinders, and we did a transparency, and we checked whether the cylinders were going out of the pedicle or not. The lamina was marked and it was further grown, and by Boolean's union, these cylinders guides were fused, and you had a jig which was available. So this is the case. As we work in a government hospital, the image failed. So we only had 3 images which are available, but we had a type 0 placement of the pedicle screw. There was no breach from anywhere, only with 3 shots. This is a case of tubercular kyphosis with late onset paraplegia. The positioning of the patient was difficult. So we again acquired images, made a virtual model, made cylinders, made a jig. These jigs were confirmed. We did a pre-operative planning of the jigs, and we made holes, and we checked whether there was any breach with the K-wires. This is after exposure. We placed the jigs and we made drill holes, and the pedicle screws were put in place. These are the post-op images which show again grade 0 placement of the pedicle screw. Grade 0 is that the pedicle screws are placed within the confines of the pedicle. They are not breaching any walls. So currently 3D applications available are patient-specific implant guides. Patient-specific implants can be made. It's a great tool for preoperative plan execution and educating your students and the patient what kind of surgery will they be doing. So the 3D printed applications, they allow true visualization of a deformity. They replicate the model, and you have a visual appearance of the model which is available to you. You can make customized jigs. These can further decrease the imaging. Radiation hazards are decreased, less dissection and less time. Surgeons can spend more time the surgeons can find the way to how to approach the problem by using this transformative technology, which we have been commonly using now. This is a small video I would like to share. This is again the chondrosarcoma patient. The 3D images were there. They are now grown. And you have a virtual model which is available. This virtual model is exported to a computer-aided tool. Now the MRI is delineated, the tumor is delineated. And you have a tumor which is available. This is again transported as an STL file. We have the STL file which is available of the tumor. This is the STL file is taken. This is the superimposed on it. Matching is done. We check with transparency tool how much is the resection margin which is required. We grow a curve and a plate is formed. And this gives us a resection guide which is available for tumor resection. So we have challenging situations in orthopedics, and we can have fit to a patient anatomy solutions. We can have fit to specific type of jigs, which can allow placement of screws very easily. It can allow placement of implants easily and resection margins. Thank you.